The silver ship landed softly on the green field. Steam rose from the bottom as the door opened with a hiss. Tayri stepped out, her purple eyes blinking in Earth's bright sunlight. Her skin had a faint blue tint that shimmered when she moved. She was young for a Nuri, only 80 years old, but very smart. That's why they sent her to study humans. So this is Earth, she said to herself. She had studied human languages for months before coming here. The air felt heavier than on her home planet, but she could breathe it fine. 5 humans stood waiting for her. 4 wore dark suits and stern faces. The 5th, a man with kind eyes and a small smile, stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth, Miss Tayri. I am Jeho, your guide while you are here." He bowed slightly. Tayri bowed back, copying his movement. "Thank you for having me. I look forward to learning about your world." Jeho was a teacher of military history at a big school in Seoul. The Nuri leaders had picked him to show Tayri around because they wanted to learn how humans fought wars. The Nuri had not fought a real war in over 500 years. They had better ways to solve problems. "Please, come with me," Jeho said. "I have a car waiting to take us to the city." Tayri looked at the black car. She knew all about human vehicles from her studies. So slow, so basic. On her world, they moved through the air on streams of energy, not wheels on the ground. "Is something wrong?" Jeho asked when he saw her face. "No," Tayri said quickly. "It's just different from what I'm used to." Jeho smiled. "I'm sure our technology seems very simple to you. The Nuri are far ahead of us in many ways." "Yes," Tayri agreed, "but I am here to learn, not to judge." But as they drove to the city, Tayri could not help but judge. The roads were full of cars burning old fuels. The buildings were made of concrete and steel, not the living materials the Nuri used. And everywhere she looked, she saw signs that humans still relied on physical things instead of energy and thought. "Your people still use a lot of objects," she said, trying to be polite. Jeho laughed. "We're a hands-on species. We like to touch things, build things, hold things." "Even for fighting?" Tayri asked. "I read that humans still use solid weapons." "Yes, though our military now uses mostly advanced systems. But we keep our history alive. In fact, I teach about the evolution of human weapons through time. From simple sticks and stones to swords and bows, and then to guns and bombs." Tayri tried not to show her feelings, but she thought it was all so primitive. The Nuri had stopped using physical weapons centuries ago. They used energy fields and mind links now. Much cleaner, much more advanced. "Tomorrow, I will take you to see some of our history," Jeho said as they arrived at a tall building in the middle of Seoul. "There's a demonstration of traditional martial arts and historical weapons at the cultural center." "That sounds educational," Tayri said, trying to sound interested. She would watch humans play with their sticks and metal toys. It would make a funny story to tell when she got home. That night, in her room at the top of the building, Tayri looked out at the city lights. Humans had come far for such a young species, but they had so far to go. She felt a little sorry for them, still fighting with physical things instead of ideas. She did not know then how wrong she was. She did not know that sometimes the oldest and simplest ways could be the best, and she did not know that very soon she would see just how effective human primitive weapons could be. The morning sun shone through the window of Tayri's room. She had slept well despite the strange bed. Her blue skin glowed as she prepared for her second day on Earth. Jeho waited for her in the lobby. He wore casual clothes today, not the formal suit from yesterday. "Good morning, Tayri. Did you sleep well?" he asked with a smile. "Yes, thank you. Your gravity is stronger than ours, but I adjusted quickly." Jeho nodded. "Today I thought we could have breakfast at a traditional tea house before going to the weapons exhibition. Would you like that?" Tayri tried to hide her lack of interest in the weapons show. "That sounds nice. I am eager to try Earth food. They walked through the busy streets of Seoul. Tae-ri noticed how people stared at her blue skin and purple eyes. Some children pointed, but their parents quickly stopped them. Ji-ho led her to a small building with a wooden sign. Inside, they sat on cushions at a low table. An old woman brought them tea and small cakes. "This tea house is over 200 years old," Ji-ho explained. Tae-ri sipped the green tea. It was bitter but good. "My home is 5,000 years old," she said. "The same buildings, I mean. Our materials grow and heal themselves." Ji-ho's eyes widened. "That's amazing technology." "It's not really technology as you think of it. It's more like partnership with living matter." As they ate, a news report played on a screen in the corner. A serious man talked about ships being seen near Pluto. "What's that about?" Tae-ri asked. Ji-ho's face grew serious. "The Mach, another alien species. They've been moving closer to our solar system for months." Tae-ri put down her cup. "The Mach. They're here. You know them?" "Yes, they attacked Nuri colonies 50 years ago. They are not friendly." Ji-ho nodded slowly. "Our leaders are worried. The Mach haven't responded to any messages." Tae-ri felt a chill. The Mach were warriors, brutal and efficient. She remembered the stories of their attacks, how their energy shields had made Nuri weapons useless. "Is that why your people contacted us?" Ji-ho asked. "Because of the Mach." Tae-ri shook her head. "No, we've been watching Earth for decades. But the Mach being here, that's not good." They finished their tea in silence. Then Ji-ho checked the time. "We should go. My brother Hyun is part of the demonstration today. He's very skilled with traditional weapons." "Traditional weapons? Like from your history?" "Yes, bows, swords, spears, the weapons our ancestors use. Hyun studies the old ways." Tae-ri tried not to laugh. What good were sticks and metal against energy weapons? But she was polite. "I look forward to seeing it." They took a train to the cultural center. The building was large and modern, with a big open space in the middle where many people gathered. "The demonstration will be in the main hall," Ji-ho said. "Then there's an exhibition of historical weapons from around the world." As they walked, Tae-ri saw a group of young men and women practicing. One man moved with special grace, spinning a long staff in complex patterns. "That's my brother Hyun," Ji-ho said with pride. Tae-ri watched the human move. There was something beautiful about his skill, even if the weapon seemed simple. "He's very good," she admitted. "He's the best in the country," Ji-ho said. "He's studied martial arts since he was 5 years old." "But why? These weapons aren't used anymore, are they?" Ji-ho smiled. "No, not in war. But we keep the old knowledge alive. There's wisdom in our past." Tae-ri nodded, but didn't really understand. On her world, old things were replaced when better things came along. Why hold on to sticks and metal when you had energy weapons and smart bombs? She would soon find out. The main hall filled with people eager to see the demonstration. Tae-ri sat next to Ji-ho in the front row. She noticed many people looking at her, but she was used to it now. The blue alien with purple eyes was not something humans saw every day. "The show will start soon," Ji-ho said. "My brother will be one of the first to perform." Music began to play, and everyone got quiet. An old man walked to the center of the room and bowed to the crowd. "Welcome to our annual demonstration of traditional martial arts," he said. "Today we honor the fighting skills of our ancestors." Tae-ri tried to look interested. She reminded herself that she was here to learn about humans, even their outdated ways. First, a group of children showed simple moves with their hands and feet. Then older students performed more complex patterns. Tae-ri had to admit they moved with grace and power. And now, the old man announced, "Hyun will demonstrate the ancient weapons of Korea." Ji-ho's brother walked to the center. He wore white clothes and carried nothing. He bowed to the crowd, then to a table covered with weapons. First, the long staff, the old man said. Hyun picked up a wooden stick about 6 feet long. Then he began to move. The staff became a blur in his hands. He spun it so fast that Tae-ri could hear it cut through the air. He jumped, rolled, and flipped while controlling the staff perfectly. Tae-ri sat up straighter. She had not expected such skill. Next, Hyun showed his ability with a bow and arrow. He hit the center of the target 10 times in a row. Then he shot 3 arrows so fast that the first was still flying when the third left his bow. "That's amazing," Tae-ri whispered to Jae-ho. "Wait until you see him with the sword," Jae-ho replied with pride. Hyun picked up a curved blade. The metal caught the light as he moved through a series of forms. Each cut was precise, each step perfect. Then assistants brought out thick bamboo poles. Hyun's sword sliced through them like they were made of paper. Tae-ri watched with growing interest. She had seen weapons that could destroy planets, but there was something special about the skill and control Hyun showed with these simple tools. After the sword, Hyun demonstrated moves with a spear, a chain with a weight on the end, and small throwing stars. Each time, his control was perfect. The crowd cheered after every display. When the demonstration ended, Hyun bowed again. Sweat ran down his face, but he smiled. The crowd stood and clapped. Even Tae-ri found herself clapping. "What did you think?" Jae-ho asked as they left their seats. "I didn't expect such skill," Tae-ri admitted. "Your brother has amazing control. Would you like to meet him? We can go backstage." They walked to a room behind the main hall where the performers were resting. Hyun was wiping his face with a towel when they entered. "Brother," he said when he saw Jae-ho. Then he noticed Tae-ri and bowed respectfully. "You must be our visitor from the stars." "Yes, I am Tae-ri of the Nuri. Your performance was very impressive." Hyun smiled. "Thank you. These arts have been passed down for thousands of years." "But why do you practice them?" Tae-ri asked. "These weapons aren't used in war anymore." "True," Hyun said, "but they train the body and the mind. They teach discipline, focus, and respect for tradition." Tae-ri nodded, beginning to understand a little. On her world, old ways were simply replaced, but humans kept their history alive, learning from it. "Would you like to try?" Hyun asked, holding out a small knife. Tae-ri hesitated, then took it. The handle felt strange in her hand. "It's so solid," she said. On her world, they controlled energy with their minds. They didn't hold physical weapons. Suddenly, an alarm sounded. A voice came over speakers throughout the building. "Emergency. All citizens seek shelter immediately. This is not a drill." Jae-ho and Hyun looked at each other with worry. "What's happening?" Tae-ri asked. "I don't know," Jae-ho said, "but it can't be good." People ran in all directions. The alarm kept blaring. Jae-ho pulled out his phone and checked the news. "It's an attack," he said, his face going pale. "Something is happening downtown." Hyun grabbed a bag and started putting weapons in it. "We should go to the shelter in the basement," he said. Tae-ri felt cold fear in her stomach. "Is it the mock?" she asked. Before Jae-ho could answer, the building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. "That was close," Hyun said. "Too close." They ran to the window. In the distance, they could see smoke rising from buildings. Then Tae-ri saw something that made her blood freeze. A small ship with sharp edges and a dull metal finish flew low over the city. "That's a mock scout ship," she whispered. "Are you sure?" Jae-ho asked. "Yes, I've seen them before in our records." Tae-ri could not believe the mock would attack so quickly. They usually watched for weeks before striking. The building shook again, this time harder. The lights went out. "The basement shelter," Hyun reminded them. Now, they ran down the stairs with other people from the demonstration. The emergency lights gave just enough light to see. When they reached the basement, security guards were directing people to a large room with thick walls. "Wait," Tae-ri said, stopping. The mock have sensors that can find groups of people. We shouldn't bunch together. Jai-Ho translated for the guards, but they insisted everyone follow the safety plan. Tae-ri knew it was a mistake, but she went with the flow of people. The shelter was crowded. Children cried, and adults spoke in worried voices. Tae-ri found a quiet corner with Jai-Ho and Hyun. "I need to contact my ship," she said. "The Nuri should know the mock are here." She pulled out a small device from her pocket and tried to send a message. The screen remained dark. "The mock must be blocking signals," she said. "This is bad." "What do they want?" Jai-Ho asked. "Resources, power, control." Tae-ri shook her head. "They attack, take what they want, and leave. They don't negotiate." "But why Earth? We're not as advanced as your people." "I don't know. Maybe they see you as an easy target." Tae-ri immediately regretted her words when she saw Jai-Ho's face. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean." A terrible sound cut through the air. Metal grinding against metal. Then the ceiling above them cracked. "They found us," Tae-ri whispered. The crack grew larger. Pieces of concrete fell. People screamed and moved away. Then the ceiling broke open and a dark shape dropped into the room. It was a mock soldier. Tae-ri had only seen pictures before, but the real thing was worse. It stood 7 feet tall with gray skin like armor. Its head had no hair, and its eyes were small and black. It wore a suit that glowed with blue light, its energy shield. The mock held a weapon that looked like a short tube. It pointed it at the crowd, and a pulse of energy shot out. The blast hit a wall, leaving a smoking hole. Security guards fired their guns. The bullets hit the mock's energy shield and stopped in midair. They fell to the ground, useless. The shield glowed brighter with each hit. "Their shields block energy," Tae-ri explained quickly. "Even the energy from your bullets." More ceiling pieces fell, and 2 more mock dropped into the room. People ran for the exit, pushing and shoving. "We need to get out of here," Jai-Ho said, pulling Tae-ri toward the door. Hyun stood his ground. He opened his bag and took out his bow. "Weapons won't work," Tae-ri called to him. Hyun didn't answer. He pulled back the string and let an arrow fly. It moved so fast that Tae-ri could barely see it. The arrow passed right through the mock's energy shield and stuck in its shoulder. The mock screamed in pain and anger. Tae-ri's mouth fell open in shock. "That's not possible," she whispered. The mock soldier pulled the arrow from its shoulder. Black blood dripped to the floor. Its black eyes filled with anger. "How did that work?" Tae-ri asked, still shocked. "Energy shields stop everything." Hyun didn't answer. He was already pulling another arrow from his bag. The other 2 mock soldiers turned toward him, raising their weapons. "Hyun," Jai-Ho shouted, "we need to go." But Hyun stood firm. He fired another arrow. This one hit a second mock in the leg. The soldier fell to one knee, screaming. Jai-Ho grabbed a metal pipe that had fallen from the ceiling. He ran at the third mock and swung. The pipe went through the energy shield and hit the mock on the side of its head. The alien stumbled sideways. "Physical objects are passing through their shields," Tae-ri said, understanding now. The shields were made to stop energy, not solid things. The first mock fired its weapon at Hyun. He rolled away just in time. The energy blast left a smoking hole in the wall. More people were escaping through the door now, but more mock were dropping through the hole in the ceiling too. "Jai-Ho," Hyun called. "Get my bag. We need more weapons." Jai-Ho ran to Hyun's bag and pulled out more items from the demonstration. A sword, a spear, small throwing stars. "Here." Jai-Ho tossed the sword to a man who had been in the demonstration. The man caught it and nodded. Tae-ri watched in amazement as the humans began to fight back. The martial artists from the show grabbed the traditional weapons and attacked the mock. A woman with a long staff knocked a mock's weapon from its hands. A man with throwing stars hit a mock in the face, making it howl in pain. "We need to get outside," Jaiho said to Tairi. "More people need to know how to fight them." They ran for the door, dodging energy blasts. Outside, chaos filled the streets. More mock soldiers moved through the city. Police fired guns at them without effect. Military vehicles with bigger guns had the same problem. Their bullets and energy weapons couldn't get past the shields. "We need to tell them," Tairi shouted. "Physical weapons work." Jaiho ran to a police officer. "Normal guns won't work," he yelled. "You need physical objects, arrows, swords, anything solid." The officer looked confused, then pointed to the mock soldiers being hurt by Hyun's arrows. "Spread the word," the officer said into his radio. "Bullets don't work. We need non-energy weapons." All across the city, people began to understand. Someone drove a car straight into a mock, knocking it down. Construction workers threw tools at the aliens. A group of baseball players used their bats to great effect. Tairi could not believe what she was seeing. The most advanced race she knew, the mock, were being hurt by the simplest human tools. "This doesn't make sense," she said to Jaiho as they took cover behind a car. "The mock conquered 3 star systems with those shields. Maybe no one tried hitting them with a stick," Jaiho said with a grim smile. Hyun joined them, his bow still in hand. "Their shields must be designed only for energy weapons," he said. "They haven't faced enemies with physical weapons in a long time." Tairi remembered something. The Nuri stopped using physical weapons 500 years ago. "We thought energy weapons were better in every way." She shook her head. "We were wrong." A loud explosion shook the ground. They looked up to see a large mock ship hovering over the city center. "They're calling for backup," Tairi said. "They didn't expect resistance." Jaiho picked up a metal bar from the ground. "Then let's give them more of what they don't expect." All around the city, humans were finding their own ways to fight back. They used whatever they could find: sticks, rocks, cars, tools. The simple things that advanced races had forgotten about long ago. And it was working. The mock were retreating to their ships, confused and hurt by weapons their shields could not stop, weapons they had considered too primitive to be a threat. Tairi watched in wonder. Sometimes, the oldest way was still the best way. The fighting lasted for hours. By sunset, most of the mock had left Earth. Their ships rose into the sky, leaving behind broken buildings and confused soldiers. Tairi, Jaiho, and Hyun sat on the steps of the cultural center, tired but alive. Emergency workers moved through the streets, helping the hurt people. "I need to contact my people," Tairi said. "The Nuri must know about this." Jaiho nodded. "The government building has backup communication systems. They might work now that the mock are gone." They walked through the damaged streets. People were coming out of hiding places. Some carried strange weapons: kitchen knives tied to sticks, baseball bats with nails, and other simple tools that had saved their lives. At the government building, soldiers let them in when Tairi showed her Nuri identity card. Officials took them to a room with large screens and communication devices. "Can you connect to a ship in orbit?" Tairi asked. A technician nodded and began typing. Soon, a face appeared on the screen, another Nuri with blue skin and purple eyes. "Commander Duha," Tairi said with respect. "I have important news." She explained what had happened, how the mock had attacked, and how human weapons had worked against their shields. The commander looked surprised. "Physical weapons? Are you sure?" "Yes, Commander. I saw it myself. Arrows, swords, even simple sticks passed through their shields." Duha was quiet for a moment. "This changes everything. The mock have attacked our colonies for years. Our energy weapons never worked against them. The mock shields must be designed only for energy," Tairi said. "They forgot about physical attacks because no advanced race uses them anymore." "Except humans," the commander said. "Yes, they kept their old ways alive, and it saved them today." After the call ended, Tae returned to Jaiho and Hyun. My people are sending more ships to Earth. Not to fight, but to learn. Learn what? Jaiho asked. How to make physical weapons again. We stopped making them so long ago that we've forgotten how. She looked at Hyun's bow. Can you teach others to make these? Hyun nodded. Of course. For the next 2 days, Tae worked with Jaiho and Hyun to gather knowledge. They visited museums and collected books about old weapons. They talked to martial arts teachers and weapon makers. In a university lab, Tae worked with human scientists. She showed them Nuri energy technology, and they showed her how to combine it with physical weapons. What if we put a small energy cell in an arrow tip? A scientist suggested. Or made swords that can channel energy but still cut physically. Another added. Tae was amazed at how quickly humans thought of new ideas. On her world, people stayed in their own areas of study. But here, a weapon maker would talk with an energy expert who would talk with a martial artist. Everyone shared ideas. By the 3rd day, they had made a new kind of arrow. It had a normal sharp tip, but also carried a small energy charge that would activate after it passed through a shield. Let's test it, Hyun said. They set up a target with a small mock shield they had captured. Hyun pulled back his bow and fired. The arrow passed through the shield and hit the target. Then a flash of energy burst from the arrow tip, making a much bigger hole. It works, Tae said excitedly. Jaiho smiled. This is just the beginning. Imagine what else we can create together. Tae nodded. She had come to Earth thinking humans were far behind her people. Now she knew better. The Nuri had advanced in some ways but had lost important knowledge along the way. My people need to remember the simple things, she said. Sometimes the old ways are still useful. A soldier ran into the lab. More ships have been detected entering the solar system, he said urgently. Mock? Jaiho asked with worry. No. The soldier shook his head. They're Nuri ships. A lot of them. Tae smiled. Help has arrived. Now we can really prepare. 5 Nuri ships landed outside Seoul the next day. They were beautiful, with smooth silver hulls that seemed to flow like water. Humans gathered to watch in awe as tall, blue-skinned Nuri stepped out. Tae stood with Jaiho and Hyun as her people approached. The leader, Commander Duha, walked straight to them. Tae, she said with a nod, your discovery may save both our worlds. Tae bowed. These humans showed me. This is Jaiho and his brother Hyun. Duha looked at the brothers with interest. You are the ones who first used physical weapons against the mock. Hyun did, Jaiho said. He's a master of traditional weapons. Duha bowed to Hyun with respect. Then you are a very important human. In the days that followed, humans and Nuri worked together. The Nuri set up a base near the city. They'd brought advanced technology, but came to learn about the old ways. Hyun taught Nuri soldiers how to use bows, swords, and spears. At first, they were clumsy with these solid weapons. They were used to controlling energy with their minds, not swinging metal with their arms. No, hold it like this, Hyun said patiently, showing the Nuri soldier how to grip a sword. Feel its weight. Move with it, not against it. Meanwhile, Jaiho worked with Nuri scientists. They shared knowledge about history and warfare. The Nuri were amazed the humans still taught about ancient battles and old weapons. We deleted most of our old military knowledge, a Nuri scientist admitted. We thought we'd never need it again. Tae split her time between both groups. She helped translate ideas that were hard to explain. More than that, she helped both sides understand each other. 1 week after the Nuri arrived, Commander Duha called an important meeting. Human and Nuri leaders gathered in a large room at the base. We have bad news, Duha said. Her face was serious. Our long-range sensors have detected a large mock fleet heading toward Earth. The room grew quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. How many ships? a human general asked. At least 50, Duha answered. Much more than the scouting party you faced before. Jaiho looked at Toiri with worry. Can we stop so many? Tairi wasn't sure. The Mach were fierce fighters. Even with the new knowledge about their shields, 50 ships would be hard to defeat. We have 2 weeks before they arrive, Duha continued. We must prepare. The leaders began making plans. Nuri ships would try to stop the Mach in space. Human armies would defend the ground if any Mach landed. After the meeting, Tairi found Jaiho and Hyun outside, looking at the stars. Are you scared? She asked them. Yes, Jaiho said honestly, but we'll fight anyway. Hyun nodded. Our ancestors faced enemies with better weapons many times. They found ways to win. How? Tairi asked. By being clever, by using the land, by turning the enemy's strength into a weakness. Hyun smiled. Like how their advanced shields can't stop a simple arrow. Tairi thought about this. The Mach were coming with their strong ships and energy weapons. But now both humans and Nuri knew their weakness. I have an idea, she said suddenly. What if we don't just defend? What if we set a trap? What kind of trap? Jaiho asked. The Mach think they know what to expect now. They'll come ready for physical weapons. Tairi's purple eyes gleamed with excitement. But what if we combine our technologies in ways they can't imagine? Hyun smiled slowly. Like the energy arrows we made. Yes, but bigger. Much bigger. Tairi looked up at the stars, where the Mach would come from. We need to show them that underestimating humans was their biggest mistake. For the first time since the attack, Tairi felt hope. The Mach were strong, but they were also proud. They thought they knew everything. They thought other races were simple and weak. They were wrong about humans, and they would learn that soon. For the next 10 days, Earth became a busy workshop. Humans and Nuri worked side by side, making new weapons and planning defenses. Tairi's idea to set a trap for the Mach grew into a full battle plan. The Mach think in straight lines, she explained to a room full of leaders. They attack head-on with full force. They don't expect tricks. The main work happened in large factories around Seoul. Human craftsmen made thousands of arrows, spears, and other simple weapons. Nuri scientists added their advanced energy technology to each one. In one factory, Hyun watched as workers made special arrows. Each arrow had a normal metal tip, but inside was a tiny energy cell. These will pass through their shields, he said, testing the balance of an arrow. Then the energy will release inside. In another building, Jaiho worked with engineers who were changing regular cars and trucks into battle vehicles. They added metal plating in places to shoot arrows from. We can't match their ships, Jaiho said, but we can make it hard for them on the ground. Tairi spent most of her time with both human and Nuri scientists. Together, they created something completely new, a weapon that looked like an ancient catapult, but could throw energy bombs. The wooden arm will pass through their shields, a human scientist explained. Then the energy bomb will explode inside their defense zone. Commander Duha was impressed by how quickly the work moved forward. On our world, it would take months to design new weapons, she said to Tairi. Humans work very fast. They're fighting for their home, Tairi replied. And they're good at making things with their hands. 5 days before the Mach were expected to arrive, everyone gathered for a test of the new weapons. At a field outside the city, targets were set up with captured Mach shield technology. First, Hyun and a group of archers fired the new energy arrows. They passed through the shields and exploded inside, destroying the targets completely. Next, a team showed the modified cars and trucks. They drove quickly around the field, firing arrows and spears from special windows. Finally, they tested the new catapult. It threw a wooden container that sailed through the shield. Once inside, the container broke open and energy exploded everywhere within the shield. It works, Tairi said, clapping her hands. The Mach won't expect any of this. That night, Tae-ri sat with Jai-ho and Hyun on a hill overlooking the city. Lights from the preparation areas glowed in the darkness. "Do you think we can win?" Jai-ho asked quietly. Tae-ri looked up at the stars. "The Mach are strong, but they're also proud. They don't adapt well to surprises, and we have many surprises for them," Hyun added with a small smile. Tae-ri nodded. In just 2 weeks, humans had created weapons that her people would never have thought of. The Nuri had forgotten physical weapons long ago, but humans remembered. They kept their history and their old skills alive. "When I first came to Earth," Tae-ri said, "I thought humans were far behind my people. I felt sorry for you." Jai-ho laughed. "And now? Now I think each of us has something to teach the other." She touched the bow that Hyun had given her as a gift. Sometimes the newest way isn't always the best way. In the distance, they could see more Nuri ships landing. They brought supplies and weapons to help in the coming battle. 3 more days, Hyun said. "Then we'll see if our plan works." Tae-ri took a deep breath. She was scared but also hopeful. Humans had surprised her with their skill and creativity. Maybe they would surprise the Mach too. The next 3 days would decide the fate of Earth, and perhaps the fate of the Nuri as well. The Mach had been unstoppable for too long. It was time someone showed them that the oldest weapons could still be the most dangerous. The day of the battle arrived with a clear sky. Early in the morning, Nuri sensors detected the Mach fleet entering Earth's solar system. 50 large ships moved toward Earth like a swarm of angry insects. "They'll be here in 6 hours," Commander Duha told the gathered leaders. "Everyone get to your positions." All around the world, humans and Nuri prepared for the fight. But the main battle would be near Seoul, where most of the special weapons had been made. Tae-ri stood with Jai-ho and Hyun at the command center. Large screens showed the approaching Mach ships. "They're coming faster than we expected," Jai-ho said, his face tight with worry. Hyun checked his bow and the special arrows he carried. "Let them come. We're ready." Tae-ri wasn't so sure. Even with all their preparations, the Mach were powerful enemies. But she kept her doubts to herself. At noon, the first Mach ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They were much bigger than the scout ships from the first attack, dark metal giants that blocked the sun as they flew over the city. "They're heading for the trap area," Duha said, watching the screens. The trap was a large open space outside the city. It looked empty and undefended, perfect for the Mach to land their ships. But hidden all around were the new weapons and fighters waiting for the signal. 3 large Mach ships landed in the open space. Smaller ships stayed in the air, circling like hungry birds. Doors opened on the landed ships, and hundreds of Mach soldiers marched out. "Now," Duha said into her communicator. From all sides, the hidden forces attacked. Archers fired the special energy arrows. Modified cars and trucks raced out, firing more arrows and spears. The new catapults threw their energy bombs right into the centers of the Mach formations. The Mach were caught by surprise. Their shields couldn't stop the physical parts of the weapons, and the energy bursts did great damage once inside their defenses. Mach soldiers fell by the dozens. But the Mach fought back hard. Their ships fired energy weapons at the human Nuri forces. Some of the modified vehicles exploded under the attack. "We need to take out those ships," Tae-ri said. "The ones in the air are causing too much damage." Jai-ho pointed to a screen showing a group of large trucks moving toward the battle. "Here comes our answer." The trucks carried giant versions of Hyun's bow, strong enough to shoot arrows the size of small trees. These mega arrows had powerful energy cores inside them. "Fire," the commander of the truck group ordered. The giant bows released their arrows. They flew high into the air, aiming at the circling Mach ships. Several arrows hit their targets, passing through the ship shields. Seconds later, massive explosions tore the ships apart. The battle raged for hours. Both sides took heavy losses, but slowly the human Nuri forces gained the upper hand. Their combined weapons were something the Mach had never faced before. By sunset, the remaining Mach ships were retreating. They flew back into space, leaving their dead behind. In the command center, tired faces broke into smiles. "We did it," Jai-Ho said, hardly believing it. "We actually won." Hyun nodded, his face dirty from battle. The oldest ways combined with the newest technology. They never expected that. Tae-ri looked at the screens showing the retreating Mach ships. They'll tell others about what happened here. They'll warn them about Earth. After the battle, Tae-ri stood with Jai-Ho and Hyun on a hill overlooking the city. Though parts of Seoul were damaged, the city still stood proud. "What will you do now?" Jai-Ho asked her. "I've asked to stay on Earth as the official Nuri ambassador," she replied. "I have much more to learn from humans." "And we from you," Hyun said. Tae-ri smiled as she looked at the bow she now carried. A gift from Hyun that she had used in battle. When she first came to Earth, she had thought human weapons were primitive and simple. She had felt sorry for humans and their outdated ways. Now she knew better. Sometimes the oldest solutions were the best ones. Sometimes what looked primitive was actually just what was needed. "Our worlds are stronger together," she said, each with something important to teach the other. And as the sun set over Seoul, Tae-ri knew that this was just the beginning of what humans and Nuri could accomplish together.